Hi there, everybody. This is Lee, and I'm talking about voting in the state of Kentucky with a past felony conviction. This is an article at Truthout, and it's from a perspective of a young man who was convicted of a felony. He pled guilty and soon realized the repercussions, one of which was lifetime disenfranchisement, even after completing his sentence and any probation um, concerning his payment back to society for the entirety of his life under current Kentucky state law. He cannot vote ever in the state of Kentucky. Although he can pay taxes, he cannot vote. And so there's a fight against that in Kentucky to actually restore voting rights to persons who have been convicted in the past of felonies and who have paid their debt to society. That Kentucky is one of 3 states that ban people for life for past felony convictions. That on top of the struggle to find employment, to find housing, to get education, financial aid, that it is the voting rights being stripped for the rest of your life that cause a lot of struggle. And that there actually is efforts being made to communicate this to the governor of Kentucky. That previous governor, I believe his name was Bashir, actually restored voting rights. He made an order to restore voting rights, and then the next governor that came in, I believe his name was Bevan, he took that away. And so right now, there is an effort, a grassroots effort, to restore voting rights to persons who have paid their debt to society. And it's interesting to note that there are still people who feel that voting doesn't matter, voting doesn't change anything. Even if there are candidates that you don't believe in, there are ballot measures that are establishing laws at the state level or municipal level that affect the citizens of that district. And so even if you can't find a candidate to believe in, there might be a ballot measure that you might want to take interest in to protect yourself or to advocate for yourself. In fact, in Florida, there's an effort to get the restoration of voting rights because they have the same situation as Kentucky. No voting rights for the rest of your life if you're convicted of a felony. And they're trying to put that on the ballot. The wording for the ballot has recently been approved by the court system, and so they're now collecting signatures to get that on the ballot for Florida, hopefully in time for the 2018 election. The Kentucky state legislature is fighting hard against this. One, they're claiming that, well, no one's applying to complete that lengthy application. So what's the point of restoring these voting rights? They're claiming that no one's really interested in voting. And it doesn't seem to be the case from what I'm reading in this article. But it does make you wonder the fact that the Kentucky legislature is fighting so hard against restoration of voting rights. For those that think your voting rights don't matter, they're fighting against it for a reason. Apparently, voting does matter. If it didn't, they wouldn't fight so hard to prevent people from actually voting. In Kentucky, and then in Iowa too, which is the 3rd state that bans persons who have been convicted of a felony for life from voting. These 3 states. And so there's an active movement in Kentucky, and then there's definitely an active movement in the state of Florida, and that Florida is really making some gains, and I hope that they are successful with that ballot measure. And in the state of Iowa, I'm not hearing so much, but this just lets you know that there is power in voting, The fact that people want to vote, and then there's such a concerted effort in at least these 3 states to make that harder than it needs to be. I'll leave a link to this article in the description. You can learn more about these efforts to restore voting rights and to expand democracy, certainly in the state of Kentucky. Good luck.